Hey everybody, it is March 18th, getting very close to spring except for the temperature outside where we are at. And it is Wednesday, 8 a.m. on in our time zone. Welcome to the Dev Talk Show. I'm here with my co-host Rich Ross. How are you doing today, Rich?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm out of bed. So
Yeah, awesome. We
we'll see
have
how long that lasts.
we have the assistant producer here. I guess I have to point
Nice.
this way. So I have to point over there
Mm-hmm.
to point at him. I'm not actually pointing at him. That's kind of interesting how that all works with cameras. But the assistant
We can
producer is
just
here and ready for us to get going. Um, if you've been following along here at the Dev Talk Show for a little while, we have been building a replica, a port, translation of the PizzaBot sample that was first shown, at least that I first saw at AI Dev Days in December. And it was a really cool sample using Microsoft Foundry. I thought it was pretty cool because it included an MCP server that was talking to an API that you might imagine that was an existing API. And it was in different languages such as Python, and there was some TypeScript running in Node. And we decided let's do it all in C# tooling. So
yeah.
yeah, so we've done that. We've got agents in C#, and we actually have some different versions of the agent. Some that do the administrative work of creating the agent in Foundry for you, with your adding it to your Foundry project, I guess is the best way to put it. And then using Agent Framework, which I was really happy about because it greatly simplified some of the things, including function tool creation. I just felt like this is the way I think a .NET developer would want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then we went further and we have our own implementation of the API and our own implementation of the Model Context Protocol server that
Yeah.
has tools that let you look up different pizzas and toppings and actually place orders to the fictitious Contoso pizza stores. All that information was in the workshop. So we've come a long way, and we actually have some more plans that I think will explore more services that are available in Azure or just in general, just to make it even cooler than it is now. So
Yeah.
one of those is that you've probably noticed if you've been watching or saw the last few shows is the effort it takes to run this run more of this locally or even all of it locally it's a little I don't think it's hard, but it's a little tedious because I start up this API, I start up this MCP server, and then start up, a console app basically. And then, oh, wait, we could start up a pizza dashboard. And, there was a project that kind of came to life a couple years ago that was specifically to help .NET developers. Oh, actually, all developers, but
Almost. Yeah.
using a .NET project to orchestrate this for you, especially in development, but not just for development.
Mm-hmm.
And that's called Aspire.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you were going through those and we were going those last couple of shows, like, yeah, we got to get Aspire in here quickly because
Yeah.
that's a lot for Chris to keep running through
Oh,
all of
yeah.
the classic ways of starting things.
I was using Visual Studio to create a multi-project startup, which
Mm-hmm.
is one way to do it. Another way, which I actually have done, we just haven't demoed it here, is using profiles that VS Code will pick up and say, look, I've got this multi-project profile, do it all. And that's fine. Like that stuff is okay, but it really relies on you to have either set up your machine or try to figure out what you might commit to source control so that the team doesn't have to. And in the end, it's just not as flexible as Aspire, which is a code-based way to do orchestration. So while you're going to use packages, you're going to use integrations, and there's kind of a way that you set up your program CS, the fact of the matter is it's code. And so if
Mm-hmm.
you have a special need you can write code to fill that need, which is harder when you're dealing with just a JSON file acting as a launch profile.
Yeah.
So
True. So
yeah, I was going to say what I've done is I've pulled up, if you're watching down below, I'm going to keep adding to the show notes. I've pulled up some documentation that may end up being relevant, Rich, but we're going to talk about Aspire integration. I didn't mean to cut you off there, so we'll let you go.
it's all good. We've got a big meeting happening today, so I was doing some AV resolution, and I think we solved everything, but let me ping people in the background around this, but that's okay.
Yeah. So well, I can tell you, like, what I found is the Azure, it's listed, it's still documented as the Azure AI Foundry hosting integration. I think that's a little bit of some of the name changes going on, but we'll see if what we're doing today. But was just pulling up some documentation before we got started because this is new to me. So
this is, I think, some of the stuff that came out in the last day or so.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely says preview.
Okay. That I'll be honest, I don't think I've seen it. If you want to bring it up.
We may not really need it either, although I'm not sure. Like, you know what? Yeah, in fact, I'll show it real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't think that our project currently, in fact, I mean, we have a whole portion of our project. Oops. We're almost there. Oh, it didn't show it. There we go. A portion of our project creates the Foundry. I don't know if I want to call them resources, but I guess they are. But this actually, I think, will create and deploy and then manage that endpoint, which is important because we are managing that endpoint in app settings right now.
Right.
So I think this might help with that. And I wasn't sure if we were going into this today, but to your point, this could be very new and it's listed as preview. And it looks to me like what you get out of it is you get out of it, you know, your Foundry project, you can specify deployments. And then I think you can even go further and it'll build like the chat client for you, which is all very interesting to me. But again, I think it's pretty cool.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think thanks for pointing that out, because I was not aware of, I mean, it makes sense. The integration part should be there, but I did not look at this. I was actually going down a different path, and if we get to that in the show today, which I think there's a possibility we might at least be able to start it. We could talk through some of those things, because what we have here, one of the things we're going to see that we run into is that some of the pieces that we have are console apps, and console apps, while you can run them, you can't do interactivity with them. So the whole thing of having that console app be the chat interface to do this, we're going to hit that wall once we get everything installed. Now, the other thing is there's a couple of additional things that, and I'll be honest, I did run through at least the initial creation of, because I hadn't done it in a while. So I did run through it once over the weekend. So this gives me a few more things for us to do, because I did not have your web app. Which is, interesting. Okay, so we got dashboard, which is your web app, and then we've got the create Foundry agent, the use Foundry agent, and then the agent framework stuff, and then the API MCP service back there. Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do this. I'm gonna take the screen if that's cool. I'm just going to share the whole entire screen, because that just makes it easier over here. Here we go.
Oh, actually, I wonder how long I've been.
What?
How long have I been muted there?
I heard you the whole time.
Oh,
if you maybe muted, I just. It wouldn't.
Okay.
Whoops. Yeah.
It's possible that I just reflexively hit mute just now and didn't realize, because you were conversing with me. So, all right. In any case.
Cool. All right, so this is what you were just looking at. I found out where you were. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, to the docs. We'll zoom in a little bit here. if you're new to Aspire, there is a whole section in here on getting started. So there are, there's prerequisites, there's the installing of the CLI, there's actually a VS Code extension. We might take a look at that too. There's the ability to do it in dev containers or code spaces. All of those use the dev container spec underneath. There is an Azure or Aspire SDK, as well as various Aspire templates, right? So we've got a whole bunch of different things over here that you can start to look at and get started with. For us, what we're going to do is just to kind of show, I think the prerequisites are pretty straightforward. It's you got to have .NET 10. That is a prereq, and I think that's mostly because it'll do the app host as a single page app or a single file app. So, and that's a .NET 10 feature, right? You're going to need some kind of a container service. I've got Docker. I should make sure that Docker is up and running so that we don't run into that. And it's open that you could do desktop, Docker desktop, Podman, Rancher, as whatever you want to use for your containerization runtime. And then some kind of an IDE. In our case, we're going to use VS Code. Kind of some stuff that if you've been doing .NET development and things of that nature, those are things that you probably already have on board, but just in case. And then, come on, there we go. And installing the CLI is pretty straightforward in that there is, that's interesting. Oh, that's how I did it. Am I not running? Interesting. Hang on, because I'm pretty sure there was.
I think search got misspelled. Yeah.
Search. Got it right that time. Let's see. So yep. So it's there. It is right there. There's also a pre-release if you are bold enough to try running those and get the latest bits inside of there. So that's how I would install it on Windows. Just use winget, simple command, gets it in there, and it's all ready for you to use. So that you do have, and I've already done this, as I said, I have Aspire running here. So this is so where we are here is that we're running inside of the same place where all of our source projects are. So we're kind of one level into our project, our pizza project, where the source content is. Up above this are docs and things like that. So if we look at, let me bring this bigger. Okay. I think what we want to do is, if we look at what's available, right, we don't really want to create a new one because we already have a project. We want to, basically bring the Aspire bits into the project as it currently runs. So what we're thinking of doing is doing the init, because that's going to let us do things against an existing solution, basically. So I think that's kind of my plan. And then from there, we'll step through it and bring in the pieces of the existing project that we want to Aspirify, if you will. So that's kind of the quick plan here.
Okay.
All right. So we could do it here in the command in the window, but I'm going to show something pretty cool. This is, well, do I have that up and running? I don't have that up and running. All right. Let's go back a list. There we go. So this is our PizzaBot C#, the one that Chris showed up on the GitHub there. From here, I'm going to go ahead and write code, and that's going to take this folder and let's open it up inside of Visual Studio Code. I'm going to get rid of the Copilot because we're going to try and focus on doing this on our own, but we know we can always revert. I'm going to close all. Yep, that's fine. All right, so we've got our project, we've got our source folder that we were looking at with all the various components inside of here. What I'm going to do is, and I'm going to show this via the command palette. I'm going to say terminal window.
It looks like it's freezing you a little bit here, or has frozen you at this point. It's fighting. So as of right now, it looks like Rich's camera is catching up very slowly, and then we don't know what's happening on the screen. But it is not
And I'm
moving
forgetting the
at
command.
all. Okay. There it goes a little bit now.
I know the shortcut, but I want.
I'm not sure if this is happening for the audience. It's possible. Find out. So I'm not 100% sure if this
is happening for me.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't see the command you got to type in. It froze there. And
gotcha. Let's do this. So this command here, create terminal in the editor.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And then
yeah.
I also,
all right.
Right, which is different than the control tilde, which brings up that terminal window with all of the other windows at the bottom.
I'm so used to the control tilde, I never thought about this. So okay, cool.
It was presented recently, and it was more in the context of Copilot running in the CLI and having Copilot run, kind of in the window over here. So it was kind of this, hey, you can get them all kind of there, and you can see the sessions between the two of them. So it was a pretty neat demo. But the idea, this part really resonated with me, because now this is how I would do it. Because now I would just be able to switch between open code tab versus, hey, go run this command inside of PowerShell, which is what we're going to do here. So I'm going to navigate down into the source folder, right? So I can't really run this at the root. I got to run this at the place where I'm going to see the solution file for this application. So I'm going to navigate down into the source directory, and that gives us access to all of these here. So the Pizza API, all the agent framework, use existing FTP server, and so on. And there's actually a pizza ordering solution file that's here too. Even though we're in VS Code, there's still that ability to have everything be as part of a solution, even though I kind of think of that as more of a Visual Studio enterprise or a community version, the full version way of organizing all of these things. So what we got here is essentially this pizza ordering bit. It's already, when it started to pull those things together, so well, these pieces are kind of back-end pieces. It did that all on its own. I didn't tell it.
Yeah, but that's a solution folder. So
yeah,
and solution folders are invisible to the actual file system.
Right.
So
yeah, so you won't. The file system will show them all together. Here they're kind of grouped, and I think if we do, can I click? This. No, it's not. Okay, I thought there was a way to, just like you could with a project, be able to just to be able to see that, so you can see how those are run. I won't worry about it.
I think you can. I think if you say reveal, were you looking for reveal in File Explorer or no?
No, it was actually, you do like CS Proj and you say, show me it opens that XML file. I was going to do the same thing for.
Yeah. So I think you'd have to open one of the projects.
Okay.
I don't know if you can do it from Solution Explorer, but I know you can definitely do it from the file system up there. And when I say Solution Explorer, I mean the one in Visual Studio Code. So, but yeah, it's like if you just want to see a CS Proj,
which I can get that here.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what. Maybe I just double click it. Maybe that works. There you go. That was easy. All right. So you can see it's got that solution here, and it's got that folder name back end with all the projects that's stuffed in there and all the other projects. Okay. So that's what we're dealing with. And that solution file is going to be important, because one of the things, if I do aspire init -- help, it's going to say, well, what are the options? What's the versions of the projects, or the channeled. We're not going to be doing any of that. Wait for debugger. Interesting. So if I just do, maybe it was more the wizard where I did this, because it did ask me for a solution file. So let's do Aspire, and let's just see what happens. We're on, well, sorry, let's do the git switch. Aspire. Okay. Cool. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So it actually detects the solution and says, well, this is the one that we're doing. So it's going to take a look at the projects based off of that. And then it's going to give me a list of all of those projects that are sitting inside of that solution file. So if you think about what's here, we can basically go through this and using the space bar and the arrows to navigate up and down. So we want the pizza API. We don't necessarily want the agent framework yet. We want the dashboard because we know that's a web one. We don't want the create Foundry one either because we don't want to keep creating these that already exist. I'm on the fence about the use existing. I'm going to include it for now, but we'll probably swap it out to something else. All that's really is the console app, but let's just bring that over for a second. And then the MCP server is the other back-end piece that we know we need. Okay. So after that, we do entry to accept. Service default, add to all previously added projects. So service defaults is the thing that's going to give us the observability. It's going to give us the URL endpoints of each of the projects that gets created. So we've got an easy way to navigate to the web endpoints of those projects. So let's do that. 13.1.2, that's fine. We'll take the standard one that's out there. And then that's it. It's going to get all the template stuff.
So I hadn't seen Aspire init. That is pretty cool. And you know, I really see the teams leaning into the console apps, right? So yeah, unfortunately it froze on Rich again there while it's working. I don't know if there's something about the CPU consumption, but yeah, the team, and it's not just this team, you know, I see it with the GitHub CLI and other things that it's just really leaning in. So I don't know. I don't know if there's something about CPU usage or it's spinning up what it's trying to do because it's just kind of sunk. It's kind of sunk. It's just really choppy. Maybe we can hear Rich now, though. You might be back. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to close a bunch of. Yeah, am I back?
Yeah, you're mostly back.
Maybe.
Yeah, mostly.
I'm actually trying to go through and get rid of a bunch of things that are in my. I need that. That's not going anyway. This will, though. Exit. Sorry, doing a little cleanup so that I didn't need power toys. I don't need it. I need those. All right, let's see if that helps things a little bit.
Okay.
Just get rid of some of the empty processes that we don't need. So, yeah, I agree with you. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to run through this ahead of time because I had not seen the new command line way of doing it. It seems, you know, certainly since I'm not in Visual Studio proper, you know, that right click that we showed for that demo of, hey, you know, add the app host, or it's just not here in this. But what should be here is right. You have this.
Look at that.
So this is in, and that's this guy here. So I don't know why it doesn't see that because it certainly is there. It's refreshed. Nope, still doesn't see it. All right, I'm going to let that go.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can look at it another time.
Yep, agreed. Cool. So let's go back to this. It does say that a new version of the Aspire CLI is available. Interesting. Okay.
I think it moves pretty quick. Wouldn't be the first time we've come here in the morning and it's like, oh.
Look what happened.
Look, I think some of Foundry went general availability, and we are not updated yet. So
yeah, true. Okay, so this should be. Let's see. That's there. Oh, there's my command line. So now from here, if I do Aspire again, just to see what we got. You know what it is? It probably doesn't see it in. Well, that's not true. I have to spell it right. There we go. Okay. So what we could try is just let's do an Aspire run and see how much is there and what we might need to move on from. So Aspire run.
So did it add a project to our solution then?
It should have added 2.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we
the
probably
app
see that
host
from
and the
solution
service defaults. There they are.
Yep. Down the bottom.
Okay, that's expected. I also find it interesting. I did not know that you could take the sidebar and move it where you moved it. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, these things are dockable, I guess you call it, right? I could actually, if I wanted, can I do that? Yeah, I can slide it all the way over here if I wanted.
But I mean,
I don't know why
even the sidebar that I'm used to having in the left strip of the file explorer, the search.
Oh yeah.
Now, yeah, I didn't know.
And then same thing with the one up here, which is the one that's usually in the bottom left.
Oh wow.
So just to kind of, it's all about getting more real estate when I'm not using my huge monitor at home. So,
yeah. Okay, cool.
So Aspire looks like it's up and running. So at least the app host got through getting those pieces together. So let's take a, if we look at the app host, we can see that it didn't do much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Which is interesting, right? So we need to kind of go back and start to add our pieces in there, because I think if we go to the dashboard, and this is also, if you haven't seen it, a lot of, I like the fact that, and it's kind of going to that thing of, I'm here in this space. I don't want to leave this space because it's a chance for me to get distracted. So Aspire launches, it launches in whatever your browser of choice is. And now I'm out in that area going through and doing what I'm doing. It could be, open up another tab and now I'm searching for something that, is unrelated to my project. But here, it all sits inside of things. So this is the integrated browser, I believe we call it. And essentially I can, kick off, and I have it set so that if I click a link inside of here, it opens the integrated browser in here. That's a setting that's in there, as opposed to just opening up the browser normally. But there are some cool things in here, in that if being able to add an element to chat. So if I go in here and say, so I could do this, and now that's part of the chat context, right? The element screenshot, the button control, right? Which is pretty cool.
Wow. Okay, cool.
So we'll get rid of that. All right, back to the task at hand. See, this is what happens. I always get excited about all the cool features that are there. So we're gonna stop this, and I'm gonna get rid of the chat window. And where we're gonna go is we're going to bring in the bits of the application that we need to have up and running. So one of those that we need is our API endpoint.
Okay. Yeah, and we're kind of used to, from when we were working with Aspire, that this is the part where you kind of declaratively say what you need to be orchestrated.
Yep. The overload method takes. Oh, we got to give it a name, right? Right. So we call this Pizza API, and now it's happy. And we could do something where we want to make sure that right, so we could do that. I can't remember if you made your API endpoints have HTTP or HTTPS endpoints.
I can double check. I don't know that the API has an HTTPS endpoint yet. That is on my to-do list, but I don't know that it's that way today.
Okay. Project start. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure how well that's going to work with an MCP server. I've never tried that before. And I think your MCP server is an HTTP endpoint.
Yeah. I think so. I was trying to add that stuff in, but we were doing it kind of on the fly because I thought it was the problem. So I'm going to actually take a look at the code while you're talking here.
Okay. And I'm going to do the really cool wait for the API so that the MCP is kind of dependent on the API. And because of that, we want to make sure that the API is up and running before we, kind of validate and check out that the MCP is up and running. So now if I do, let's do this. If I do go back and run our Aspire command again.
It could be that neither of them. Well, let's see.
Endpoint with the name HTTP already exists. Launch settings. Let's take a look at the launch settings. Now, it kind of defaulted all those in there for me. Project. Let's go back and see what that error was. Messages may result in a conflict. Names on specification point. Unique name. Let's see. I don't recall that being an issue before. Let's see.
So yeah, Pizza API. So for one thing,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't. So neither of them seem to have an HTTPS endpoint exposed.
Okay.
But I don't know that that's your issue.
No, it was actually complaining about HTTP for whatever reason. So let's just try one and see if we can get one on the run.
Right.
Same thing. Interesting.
The other thing I'm trying to remember is, let's see, service defaults is not something each project has to rely on, I don't think.
Each project takes a dependency on service defaults. It's like service defaults, and then whatever your project is, and then app host is the top one.
Right. Okay.
Let's see. Let me make sure. I think this was the one. Oh, expiring existing one. This is the one I did. Prerequisites, language, overview of the process. So we initialize support, and then we're going to add our application. So that's kind of where we are at this point. So we did the init. That's fine. Build, that's fine. We're going to put our resources in there, which is what we started doing. Oh, maybe it was this. Although it should have had a reference. Add project reference to the app host. Let's see if we've got that. Yeah, we do. Okay. So we got a project reference, at least for this one that we're trying to add. So that shows up like that with the include. That's cool. Model your resources in app host, which is what we're doing. Got a project, did that. Yep. Oh, maybe some with reference. No, because we're not calling that.
So it says with external HTTP input, but that's probably not it. Maybe it is.
We can try that.
I don't remember what the difference is between the two.
Okay.
All right. So the dashboard now should show us the one project, right?
Yes.
And it is running. And then you could even give it a try. We do have a pizza HTTP. Should be sitting in there.
There we go.
And is it pointing at 7? Yep, it's pointing at 7071.
And
that's just kind of, the API is just kind of like a quick health check one. In a way, it's not a health check. I should not say that, but it works, right?
Yeah.
And I actually think the MCP tool, if I remember correctly, runs this as a quick way to find out if any orders have changed. I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha.
It doesn't take the place of a health check, but it there it is. There it is.
Cool.
So,
all right. So let's see if
that's working. Good.
So that's one. Let's try and undo this one. Control KU for those who are liking the keyboard shortcuts. I got to get Karnak up here and running again. So let's try that. We also want, I think the thing we're missing here is with reference. Ugh, that's not what we need. With reference. Oh, what are we referencing? Sorry, the API. All right, let's try that one. Although I think I still got it. Yep, I can do this. Cool. Can I just refresh this? How about that? That's awesome. So this is interesting. We have a +1. So we have 2 endpoints. We have a 5,000. I remember this from when you did it. You had a 5,000 and a 4,000.
It's what I was trying to get working.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly what I was doing wrong in the Visual Studio IDE, but even though the MCP server's launch settings file defines a HTTPS profile that should launch both, it doesn't when you fire it up from just the startup project profile, but yet it seems to be working here. So I'm a little confused. But I'm not, going to worry about it too much right now.
So let's try this. Let's see if we can. So we have it's HTTPS localhost 5000. Okay. So if I go back to let's bring this guy out, and I say this is where we configure our tools, and we can then add an MCP server. Using HTTP, yes. Typing is horrible today. 5,000.
I think it was just MCP, but I'm not. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's my thought. That's my recollection as well, because that was the whole /SCE that we ran into. And we're going
Right.
to call this, we can give it whatever name we want. I mean, this part isn't important. We'll call it the
Right.
MCP local, just in case we do something different in the future. Available just in this workspace. So what that does is, you see here we have our VS Code instance, and we have this here, and this gives us the ability to interact with it. You can see that it's showing an error. What's the error? Fetch failed. Let's restart it. Huh.
Oh, it says type HTTP, which maybe is fine. Just for the heck of it, maybe try the 4000 HTTP one just to see if that works. Then we know we're not quite ready, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that's what that. So this,
I don't
this
think
type.
so. I think that's just saying that it's web.
Exactly. I mean, the other option here is usually stdio.
Right.
In which case, we wouldn't have a URL. We would have a location where the machine is running.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think that means anything. But it's. I'd be curious if this works.
Error.
Well, it hasn't been restarted yet. Go hit. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So I still think there's something wrong with my HTTPS implementation that has to be worked out. And the funny thing about it is that I've become so accustomed when you file new project and web projects that just works.
Yeah.
That building both the MCP server and API were not done that way.
Right.
So because remember MCP we built with the toolkit. So
yes, we did.
There's something we'll have to do to add that back in, and it's just haven't explored it yet. So it's probably not too hard, but it's certainly something we want to get right. The interesting thing to me though is if you deploy this to something like, say, just for example, like to Azure websites, then you get HTTPS for free that way. So it's
right.
Anyways, the nice thing
it's a hurdle we've got to, it's a hurdle we got to figure out.
Right. We want to figure it out so that folks trying to do this have a good developer experience, but it also promotes to production easily. So, but yeah, your 9 tools are all there. Everything's working. And we know, as you had showed previously, that if you don't want to build an MCP tool integration, that you can add it right in here, just add it as a tool in Visual Studio Code and start talking to your MCP server, which is really cool. So.
Just make sure that works.
Yep. And then it's going to be like, hey. Well, actually, interesting. It didn't ask you for permission to, or is it doing it? No. Because, remember we also enable the tools. So the tools are available, but I'm not sure they're enabled for this chat. But I love that it just went and figured it out for you by finding the JSON file in our folder.
so let's talk through that. When we did that before in the console,
right,
we were using this project.
Yes.
Right? Are using a user agent project.
Right.
And so that's going back through Foundry. So it has the system prompt and the tools to go ahead and be able to understand that. If we, when we did this here, we didn't have that. I'm just talking to, all LLMs are naive, but I don't have any context here about you being a PizzaBot and being able to help me do stuff. There's no system prompt that's driving that.
Yeah. The context that it has is your solution though. And so it's like, wow, you asked a pretty tough question, but I think I have an answer. Oh, and by the way, this data is used by these things. So that was pretty cool. But I think if you go configure your tools, we should see that the MCP tools are not configured. At least that's my hope. Just because, I don't like things when things are mysterious. At least we would know.
So when you say the MCP tools, you mean in here?
Yeah, right. You've added the server. What I'm going to
Right.
suggest is that you haven't. I was going to say that these tools weren't available, but there's MCP
There it
local.
is. Yep.
And are all the tools chosen? They are.
Yeah.
So it didn't
That's what.
choose
So
to
that's what
use
this
it.
does.
Yeah.
So this, the fact that it says 9 tools, if I wanted to go
Sure.
here and say configure, I'm sorry, configure
Yep.
model access, set
Yep.
the models the server can be used via sampling. Yeah. So this is a connection as far as it's concerned.
Yeah, I'm curious why it didn't try to use it there, but okay. It does. I guess it doesn't matter too much. The MCP server and the API are running.
Yes, but
so theoretically now we could get maybe the dashboard running, and then you'd have the whole backend up.
Exactly. I think that's our next step.
That's a funny way to call that backend, because the dashboard is the front end.
Is the front end, yeah. But all the pieces that are not agentic, I guess. I mean, they certainly help the agents, but all right. So let's go back into here. Let's get rid of this window. Let's go back to our app host, and from here, does the dashboard rely on any of the?
It relies on the API.
Okay. Project's got dashboard, lovely. Pizza Dash.
I wonder if there's a naming conflict. That's interesting.
Oh, for Aspire?
Yeah. Dashboard might have a real meaning. I wonder if it's actually Pizza Dashboard. We could look in service defaults and figure it out, or maybe IntelliSense comes to the rescue if you dot in and see what it says.
Interesting.
So back it up to the dot.
Oh.
And then I'm just saying, let's see what IntelliSense thinks. Look at that, Pizza Dashboard. I have a feeling that dashboard might be special. It might refer to the dashboard, but I don't know. I don't know that, but I'm just sort of guessing here. Certainly it's referencing the API and waiting for the API, I suppose. Because it actually does not use the MCP server at all. It's just like, it could be those two pieces, the API and the dashboard. I like to think of them when thinking about this project that they might be the existing apps.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. If great point, right? You've got this, and we're taking this demo and saying, well, it's an existing application that we're putting Aspire on top to. But if you had an existing application that was, some way of ordering a pizza via a website and a way of displaying it via the dashboard, that API would have been there. So how do we make that API accessible to our agents? That's where the MCP comes in.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
So this is great. I think we're in good shape here. So if I go back to here, let's Control C out of here. Aspire run. Now we should have 3 projects.
Yeah. And then where we're headed is, I don't think we'll see it today. We can probably use the agent with some configuration. In fact, there might not, I don't know how much configuration have to be. We could probably use that console app, but where we're headed is we want, I don't know if we put it, I really don't know if we put it in the Blazor dashboard project. Maybe not, just to kind of keep the workshop aspect pure, like the translation from the workshop. But we want a website that might represent the storefront. We could even like kind of jazz it up with some pictures of pizza and stuff, or and maybe that storefront could pull the menu and toppings for us out of the MCP tool. But most importantly, we want to be able to order from that. And so, Aspire will help us with that once we add that piece in.
Definitely. All right. That's better. So now that I saved it, I'm going to have my Pizza Dash, and I could go to.
Yep. And this is our Pizza Dashboard, which does not look like the Python one. And in fact, somewhat intentional. And it wasn't because I don't like that one. In fact, maybe we'll try to, I don't know what we'll do. The source is available. We could try to make it look exactly like it. But I think some of it was just so that the audience members know for sure that this is our dashboard and we're not running the one in the cloud was provided for the workshop. Besides, that little pizza slice is cool. But in order to place an order, there's a couple ways you could place an order. We could try to order through the agent if we could get VS Code to do that. If you just want to test it real quick, you can use something in the HTTP file. Again, that leaves MCP out of it completely, but we could just quickly see that the dashboard's wired up. So what you would do is I have in there a post. I do have a sample post at the bottom that just places an order.
Cool.
And so this is just a real quick, this is like a sanity check that I do. And then I say, okay, let's see if the dashboard picked it up. And the dashboard refreshes every 10 seconds. So there it goes. And it picks it up. So that's cool. So the last step, if possible, would be that, okay, can we show that the MCP tools are working? Because then we know that Aspire's got it all orchestrated for us.
So and we can try and do that. So if I do this,
I wonder if we can say using the pizza MCP tool.
I don't even think you need to do that. And I think I can just do something like this. So let's clear this out.
Well, that's true. It might figure out that it had. Okay, let's see what it
does. Because it understands.
I'm really curious.
It should understand the descriptions of the tools. So that's all an MCP is a tool. So let's try it. Hang on. There we go. Hey, I'm hoping you could help me. I'm interested in getting a pizza, just a regular old pepperoni pizza, 1 large. You have some way of ordering that for me.
Look at that.
So we can go back and look at the history here, that all of that thought analysis. And I hate the term, but this is, it putting the words together in what looks like it is a thought. But essentially, I would order a pizza. It actually looked at the workspace structure, because that is what it's meant to do. So we start by doing the reading files. Wow, it's still going.
Yeah, interesting. It's even thinking about just calling the API maybe directly. I don't know.
Well, it has an MCP server that connects to the API, so which you can use to help order. I'm going to skip and see if I can. It's an agent. It should have. Oh, here you go. It's reading the MCP JSON now.
Oh gosh. Do we have something old in there that's talking about? For some reason, it thinks about ngrok, which is weird.
I'm going to skip.
See, it thinks it's not running.
Right. I think if you look at your tools, you already have access to that MCP server, pizza MCP server that you're trying to connect to.
Oh, you're right. I love it. I love that. You're right. What's wrong with me? Get pizzas.
Yeah. So that allows us to let it call those MCP tools, which is something you have to do anyway, right?
Right. And it called it up. It can see the ID. It ran get pizzas, found the pizza, number 2. Base price is $14. Now it's going to try calling.
Yep. And now it's just calling the MCP endpoint with our order.
And your pizza's already up and going.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, that's really cool. So yeah, we have Aspire integration, which will make it much easier now to work on this. And I think, I think we could work around using the console, the 3 console apps. I mean, those console apps are great. I don't want to get rid of them. They demonstrate things. It's possible in the real world that you wouldn't want create Foundry agent. You might want the act of declaring your Foundry agent versions to be separated from the use. I mean, and again,
Yeah.
I don't want to presume. It's the old thing of it depends. Like,
Right.
I'm having a hard time envisioning the scenario where I want those combined, but certainly for learning, it's kind of nice. But
Mhm.
now I want to go to production, so I feel like agent creation and deployment would be different from usage. Usage is going to live in a customer-facing app, at least in this scenario.
Right.
I don't think AI will always be chat-facing. In fact, I know it isn't, because some of the projects we have in the pipeline are using LLMs and AI and agents that you're not going to directly chat with.
Right.
I can't wait to start talking about some of those projects, because building this project has really, I mean, the flood of ideas right now, of tools that I have that actually will help me, but will genericize for the show. I think that'll be really interesting. So I think this is cool. And we know now that we'll be able to get an app host and the service defaults into the repo. So once again, folks that are joining up, maybe you're coming on. We're trying to design this repository that you can bring it down, clone it, run it. There's even some documentation that helps you do that. There's also documentation that, I've tried it out, but I would love for you all to try it out too, that helps you build these things from scratch. We're trying to make a complete C# based workshop here. And then we'll see where it goes from there, because I certainly have, there's 2 projects. One of them, I was talking with someone I know who works in collections, and as a lawyer, collections has some there's specific rules they have to follow. These can be state by state, they can be jurisdiction by jurisdiction, but it's how you apply things like interest and late fees. And then when somebody's paying, how do you apply the payments to those? Most statutes in different states prescribe the order to apply these payments. And so it turns out that there's this particular lawyer, and I think many others, are running around trying to create their own Excel spreadsheets to manage this stuff. And it is a harder problem than that.
Yeah.
And so you sit there and saying, well, what does this have to do with LLMs? Well, another problem that they have is they get a PDF or a Word doc or an email from their client that needs to collect. And then they have to manually enter all of the bullet points of here was a payment was due, here was a payment was assessed, it was due, it was missed, here's the late fee we had charged. So this could be 6-8 months overdue, and they'll have to enter this manually. And that's where I think an agent can come in and say, well, just give me the email, just give me the PDF. I don't care. I'll figure it out and make it structured output.
Right.
And I feel like that's the gateway to the next level, because you've heard me, if you've been watching this show long enough, you have heard me ask Rich, what comes after chat? And as much as I love the PizzaBot, it is still chat. The next level, I think, is you don't even realize an agent's working on your behalf in the back, solving something that we would used to call this fuzzy logic of I didn't give you something structured as input. Can you still figure out the outcome? Fuzzy logic is out the door here. This is, okay, I still didn't give you something structured as input. I gave you something. It may not meet any kind of specification. Can you figure it out and make it structured?
Yeah. And it's even gotten better than that. And that as part of your prompt, you can say, I need you to output like this.
Yes, the structured output
part. It just drops it right in.
Right, because right now we're not doing that. We're not doing the structured output part. We are letting the LLM converse with us.
Yeah.
And in this next project, which I'm not saying we're abandoning the PizzaBot soon, but in the next project, what I really want to explore is the LLM provides us, it's hard. I don't want to get the terminology wrong. The agent using the LLM provides us with structured output. And now your app can pick that up and say, oh, well, thank you for this nicely formatted ledger. Now I can do my job, which is deterministically determining interest, late fees, stuff like that. So
Yeah, it
I'm
communicates
looking
just
forward
like
to
your
that one.
API does. It gives
Yeah.
back the JSON call, right?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. But you know, the PizzaBot is almost ready for prime time. I am personally pushing for it to be shown at Philly.net in April. If it doesn't happen in April, I think it'll happen soon. But I would say, you know, that's going to be a bring your laptops and we'll build it together. So
Yeah.
but anyways, this is great, Rich. Yeah. I'm happy we've got Aspire going. That's going to make the development easier. And maybe next time I'll bring up the Linux VM and we'll just see it all running with no change. I would love, in fact, I'm going to try it later today. Clone it down, run it on my Linux VM. Just not that I think it'll be any different from a Windows VM. I just love the portability story. And I definitely want repos to be ready to go, whether you're on Linux, Mac, Windows, should just work.
Yep. So I've already done the commit local pushed up to the repo. I'll do a PR so it gets down the main. So when somebody goes and does the clone from the main, they'll have all the bits from today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that was cool. Thank you very much for showing us that, Rich. I love that we got to see documentation. I will update the show notes with some of the docs we pointed at. And obviously our repo is up there. So let us know how it works for you. If you have any comments, any questions, any suggestions about like, look, I've done what you guys are doing. This really works well for me. Please let us know in the comments. If you love what we're doing, hit the like button, subscribe to the show. It really helps because I'm not exactly 100% sure what YouTube does with that information, but I think when you subscribe, I think that like, this is something I find in my household. If somebody subscribes to something, it seems to get served to the rest of us in our household.
Mm-hmm.
Like if my daughter subscribes to some thing she likes watching, then I'll say, "Oh gosh, I saw that," and then I'll go. So I'm not sure how all of that is working, and maybe I don't know, but it is what it is. So you know, it tells YouTube that other people might be interested, maybe people that are searching for the same things you're searching for. So. All right. Rich, that was great. We will get out of here. I think our producer's already left. So he's ready to end the show. Everybody have a great Wednesday. And we will see all of you next time on the Dev Talk.